Good morning and welcome to our webinar for a first look at Dynamics 365 Business Central. My name is Jenny Tomlinson and I am the Marketing Manager here at m-hance, and I will be acting as the moderator for today's presentation. I'm joined by my colleague Steven MacDonald, who is m-hance's pre-sales consultant. Before I hand over to Steve, just to go through a few simple housekeeping items. So the webinar should last approximately 45 minutes. The webinar is being recorded and will be available to view on demand. All participants are set to listen-only mode and will remain so for the duration of the webinar. If you have a question, click the question button on the right-hand side of your screen. In the new pane that opens, type your question in the top box and click Ask. Do feel free to submit your questions at any point during the webinar. We'll review them afterwards and take them offline. With that, I'd like to hand you over to our presenter, Steve. Over to you.
Thanks, Jenny. Good morning. So just go through today's agenda. I will introduce myself and then we'll have an overview of Dynamics 365 Business Central. We'll demonstrate the solution and all the associated products that work in tandem with it from the Office 365 suite. And all the way through it, really, we're highlighting how it fits within Microsoft's cloud strategy and how it can fit within your strategy. And we'll finalize with a summary. So myself, I've been part of m-hance over 6 years now, from the implementation side for GP implementations, upgrades and so forth. So hopefully I've been lucky enough to work with some of yourselves before, whether or not it's on the consulting side or on the pre-sale side, which I'm in at the moment. So to start off, just wanted to get a quote from the Microsoft CEO, which is Satya Nadella. So he's been in the role now for 5 years, and this was one of his first quotes from when he started the role that time ago. And as you can see, it doesn't mention anything about Windows or Office. It's all about mobile and cloud. And that's where we've seen Microsoft put a lot of their effort and energy towards, whether it be on the Office 365 suites, which a lot of you might already be involved in, or it's Azure, and now we're seeing with Dynamics 365. One thing you might know from Microsoft, if you've at all followed them, is over the time that he's been in charge, because of this strategy, they are now, again, one of the most valuable companies and recognized brands. So we're finding a lot of leaders of businesses are utilizing cloud technology to tackle strategic challenges and take advantage of the opportunity with which digital transformation presents us. So over our time talking to yourselves or working with different people within the industry, we're definitely finding a few trends coming up, which this white paper, which was from The Economist, we found highlights. So as you can see from the list on the right hand side, there's probably quite a few on there which you can relate to your business. And many of these issues will need input from IT, from use of technology, deployment of cloud solutions to help resolve. So where does cloud and Dynamics 365 fit in from Microsoft? So from our side, there we deploy 2 major versions of Dynamics 365, which is Dynamics 365 for Sales, which was the CRM elements, the customer relationship and the marketing side, and most recently the Dynamics 365 Business Central, which is the financial and ERP side. There's a whole range of different Dynamics 365 solutions, so these ones we're focusing on. And for today's webinar, we'll go through a demonstration of Business Central, but just so you're aware of the connectivity between the CRM solution and Business Central are so much more heightened than we had previously. So it's one platform. We're finding these solutions are very much easy to extend and flexible, especially on the sales side. There's lots of functionality to get out of the box. We've seen a lot of energy from Microsoft in the development and the roadmap for these solutions. So every 6 months or so, so it's around the spring and fall time, they get an update. And being a SaaS solution, and it's all authored by Microsoft, all hosted by Microsoft, within a certain window of time frame, all the different customers who are on those solutions will be updated. So gone are the days of having to spend a lot of money and resources looking after your own hardware. That's all been looked after behind the scenes by Microsoft. And because it's all being updated behind the scenes as well, you're essentially staying on the same platform as everyone else. And we're finding some of our initial customers who've taken on It's very much easy to use, to migrate from. Very much a modern cloud solution. So like I said, it's all in the cloud. It's actually hosted within the Office 365 tenant. So if you've already got that there, you'll see where it sort of sits in between all those different solutions. So today's webinar, I'll try and have a look at some of those integrations, if you like, between Excel, Outlook, and Power BI, which is the reporting side. And then on the other side of the cloud, we've got more technical tools from Azure. There's a whole host of services there. Power Apps, which is an application development tool which end users can help create applications on top of other mainline solutions. Cortana Intelligence is more of on the AI side, which we're seeing more and more being embedded within the Dynamics 365 suite. Flow, which is an approval tool, which we'll have a look at. And if you didn't know before, LinkedIn is actually a Microsoft solution now. They were purchased that not too long ago. So on the CRM side especially, we're seeing a lot more integration of pulling information from LinkedIn to aid your sales team. So Business Central, what we're looking today, it's got a range of different areas, of which we'll try and have a focus on finance and a few areas today. If there's any more interest that you would like to see specific areas which we didn't cover, please get in contact and we can do a specific demonstration for you. But we're finding the solution itself is very much it is a new solution, even though it's based off technology from Microsoft Dynamics NAV, which has been a long time solution from Microsoft, but it very much caters for quite a lot of out-of-the-box functionality, which a lot of our GP clients, potentially yourselves, will be looking for. It's working across any device, so whether that's browser or PC. So it works off Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Edge, as long as they're on the latest versions that's supported. There is a mobile app, which is free, and also a desktop or tablet application as well. Okay, so we'll go into a demonstration of this solution. So when I first log into Business Central, I'm presented with this dashboard. So before I go on and start explaining these things, I just want to touch base on where I started on the presentation. So when you log in to the Office 365 portal, if any of you have already got that, you can see we've got all of the apps that you are probably using day to day. Within there, Dynamics 365 is sitting alongside it. The dashboard here, it basically presents me with a set of options defined by a role. So the role I've logged into today is a business manager who's got a wide range of areas that they need to do day to day across the organization. If you are a AP clerk and there was a role for that, the dashboard would be completely transformed for them, for their day-to-day use, to make it a lot easier to go to and from the different activities. There's still permissions that you can have on top. So even so, someone might have a restricted role center and dashboard, you could still give them a lot of access across the board. It's a similar solution to which I think most of the audience are today, Dynamics GP users, in the sense that you still have a range of different companies that you can log in and out of to post transactions between them. And you can set up intercompany and those type of connections and consolidations as well. As part of this dashboard here, you can see, like I said, that we've got various different access. So we can drop down here, we can see there's a whole range of different areas that we can get into, some of which we're not going to cover today, but they are there. So for example, like fixed assets, currencies, and VAT reporting. Whether it's on the cash side with the banking, cash receipts, and reconciling bank transactions, that's all there. On the sales side, from inventory, customers, all the way from sales quotes, orders, invoices. Purchasing, vendors, purchase quotes, which is very much like requisitions, purchase orders, invoice, returns, all the functionality that the majority of users are utilizing from day-to-day use of GP and what you'd expect from a small to medium aimed ERP solution. But you can see also we've got various different areas, whether it's on the setup as well for this role center, which you might not necessarily need, and you can configure as of when you need to access those things. On the top area here, we've got a quick area to access card information, which we'll have a look at later. On the right hand side, we've got actions of quickly being able to create certain documentation, or even creating new records, card information, all the way through to some of the out-of-the-box reporting, what we can quickly deploy. On the left-hand side, we've got insights. So this is part of the sort of AI side, which Microsoft are embedding in the Dynamics 365. So it's calculating here, you can see of which we can even drill down what was the best-selling items. And it's just scrolling through, giving us maybe the best customer and what the value was for them. Into the center section here, we've got activities. So these are, first of all, a set of KPIs, and we can actually set up a range of these, of the different thresholds of how they will be calculated and how they'll be presented. We've got the tiles area here where it's on the sales or purchases, and that's more your ongoing documents, which you can drill down to. So on one of these areas, whether it's on the KPIs, you can see more, or it's on ongoing purchases or sales, we can drill down, and it's going to present us with a list of information here about what actually makes up those figures. Very easy to drill down, and you can see on the right hand side it's embedding Power BI reports related to those invoices or vendors in this case, and also it's just giving a snapshot about the vendor information on the side. And very easily we can drill down all the way through to the underlying invoice in this case to see a bit more information. We can see a bit more about their statistics and drill down further if needs be on about that information, and take action where needed. Again, we can embed within our dashboard different Power BI reports and even amend them potentially if you've got the access rights. On the right hand side is an interesting one for accountants. We can set default favorite chart of accounts, of which we can quickly again drill down to the underlying information. So in this case, bank account chart of accounts. We can then have a look at what made up that balance at the moment, and we can navigate all the way through to see the underlying transaction entries as well and see the GL distributions. All the way through to the bottom, we've got a mini trial balance, which you can set up how that's built, and a report inbox. So currently out of the box of the solution, you can schedule reports to other Business Central users. I think the functionality is going to improve over time, where you'll get notifications via email and so forth. But at the moment, it just creates and prints the email, the report, and it comes into the inbox here. We'll have a look at those in a bit more detail later. Okay, next step to go through, we'll have a look at the financial section and the chart of accounts, to understand how that's built up. So it's a different solution in the sense that you have a set nominal that you create your first initial chart of accounts, and you've got up to about 20 characters or alphanumeric characters that you can select. But generally we advise, whenever we're designing this with users, to try and simplify it to 4 to 6 sort of characters. And for this sort of this company, demo company we've got set up, it's got a range of different accounts from income, cost of goods sold, expenses, all the way through to liability accounts and assets and depreciation. So on top of that, to get the extra information that all the companies want to do, it's got a feature called dimensions. So when you're entering transactions, depending on your setup, your posting accounts of how, when transactions are entered against a supplier or a customer, it might have some defaults, and the dimensions might be including that. but also these can be used to select as an end user to define and tag extra information as part of those transactions. So in this case, for department, we've got in this solution, you've got two what's called global dimensions, and then you've got additional dimensions what hang over the top of that. So the global ones go across the different filters and reports that come out of the solution. So once you create your actual type, underneath you can have multiple different values of which then you can build up your different dimensions. And why that's useful for a lot of organizations, on the GP side, when you create a new department, let's say, it has an implication of the nominal code and the whole string of a chart of account codes that you need to create. So if you're finding you're quite often creating might be a new project, a new event, new codes within Dynamics GP, you often find you've got a whole set of other accounts that will be affected with what you need to build out at the same time. And this one, because they're sort of separated, your chart of accounts nominal code stays quite static or doesn't need to be amended as much, and then you can add on top with those dimensions. With this solution, it's really useful to be able to do some filtering. So there's a lot of lists. So we saw a list with the invoices. We've now seen a list with the chart of accounts. Throughout the solution, it's very much like little in the GP world smart lists, and then we can add filters on top and save filters as well. So we can add filters whether it's on the column information, so filter by the actual number, so we just want a range to bring up as a filter to see those results, or we can start to add a filter whether it's on the department, so it could be we just want to see what's going on with sales and the figures would change accordingly. What we can then do with this solution very easily, we can actually edit information, so we can get it out to Excel, amend it, especially when it's on transactions, import that back in, or we can open that specific filter we've got into Excel. But also what I like, if we've got just a set sort of columns and rows we want to select for get information out, we can just quickly copy them, go into Excel, click paste, and whether that's in Excel or you want to put it into an email, Word, whatever it may be, you can quickly get information in and out, select the right information and work with it as you need to. So sticking on the financial side, before going into general journals, just highlight the search functionality and understanding how the periods work within the solution as well. So first of all, we've got this sort of search button here, and you'll start to see this if you're on Office 365 across all the different solutions, which essentially is tell me what you want to do, and depending on that solution, Microsoft will try and present the different options. So in this case, we want to see search on period. It's going to give all the different search results for there, whether it's pages, reports. So for us, we just want to see the accounting periods. Very much like all solutions you'd expect, you can do different periods. You can have it calculate this automatically depending on years, or you can manually adjust them. You can easily close these or keep them open. It's a very flexible solution when it comes to reporting and whether or not you want to keep things open or not. One thing we find with GP users, what they like to do is close certain periods off for users not to be able to post things in. So what this solution enables people to be able to do on that side is on the user side, you can actually set for a specific user when they're allowed to post from and to. So it gives you the capability for a group of users to define when they can actually enter transactions and what they can post to and from. Okay, on the journal side, just going to the general journal first. So we've got two different views. I prefer to try and use what I call more simplistic view, but we can see here it's also got a different option of showing more columns, because in this solution, you're able to, on the same line, when you're entering your journal, a lot more detail there you can put on, but also you can enter in the balance account what goes alongside that as well if you wish. Before going into more information, just an area to highlight, it has a lot more personalization capabilities out of the box. So sometimes we find some of the older solutions, they display all the options that you can ever imagine onto a window. And what this solution is trying to do is minimize and give the most used sort of functionality. But if in the case for yourselves, you need a specific field which has been hidden, you can easily go into the personalization option. And in this case, I want one of the dimensions that we had, and that was fund code, and we can decide we're going to put it next to the department code here and click done. So very easy to actually personalize, whether it's per user or across the board. You can create personalizations of which a group of users then you can deploy to them. It's very easy to search to find whether it's the chart of accounts here, whether it's doing a search, selecting from a full list, or just doing a, in this case, it could be using the actual description, not just the number. Enter that information, change the description, enter the debit account. Very easy to use the keyboard or mouse to go through and select what you're looking for. And here you can see how we are not only entering the account number here, but also where the two global, in this case we could add extras, but the two global dimensions to add that extra information about the department, in this case is a fund code. So again, with the Excel area, we can actually edit Excel, pull that out as the sort of show more columns option. We can do as mass up to 800 or 1,000, I think, plus lines we can actually use to mass change in Excel and publish back into Business Central. But again, with this one, we can quickly copy, paste that into Excel and type extra lines as needed. Copy the line, you could have multiple different ones there, back into Business Central, select the line and paste that in. So it's very easy to use, and that's not just on the journal side, that's also on the sales or purchasing transactions as well. So getting information to and from Excel, very easy to do. We've also got the ability to do, so whether it's monthly journals, have different templates. We've got recurring journals we can create with different recurring methods, whether it's fixed, variable, or reversing methods as well. Just moving on to sticking on the financial side, the budgeting tool within it. So you can have multiple budgets that you can set up. Some of these can be defined by the dimension codes again. Just drilling down into one here, we can see how this one's built up, and we can see some of the filters, whether it's the dates which we can change, or some of the department, or in this case fund, for the dimensions filters that have been applied. It's got different ways you can actually view budgets, whether it's on show lines with the GL account, but you can decide to actually choose by department, and that's going to dramatically change how the look and feel of the information displayed. So I'll change that back to GL account. Columns wise, so we can do things by period, but again we could choose department or business unit and so forth to change the look and view. We can then easily just get to the top lines again, change whether it's, we've got the show lines as columns as period, but we can also then change that to not only at the moment we've got it month, but we can actually quickly change that to, I'll just find some records, to whether it's day, week, quarter, year. So very easy to chop and change to the view of the budget within the system. When it comes to creating new budgets, it's very easy to copy existing ones. To build out that budget, enter all the lines, you can export it to Excel, get your budget holders to amend the information, and it's very easy to then import back in. So on the sales side and purchasing side, just have a touch on those areas. So just look at the card information just to give you the look and feel of how this solution works. Again, we've got Power BI reports embedded, which are looking at these customers, and it's going to give us information which is pertinent to them. So in this case, it's sales information about their credit limit, and we can quickly filter through there, and you can see how those reports are changing. Selecting on any of these ones as well, we can see on this right-hand side tab, we've got the tab information here, so we can see ongoing information, or if it's posted historic invoices and shipments there as well against them, all the way through just getting a snapshot of the statistics for that specific customer, of which when it comes to something like the balance, we can actually drill down. So in this case, we've got a couple of invoices here, some of which seem to be overdue. Very easy to, again, copy those lines. You could paste them into an email and send them out to the customer. Just to give a different view on the look and feel, so we've got list information. We can actually do different tiles because when we actually drill down through, you can see how for these different records, we can add a picture, whether that's their icon for the company, or it's the actual imagery of the actual customer and the user that we have for them. Again, on the look and feel, very easy to flick between different records, and you can imagine this being deployed on a tablet, how easy that would be to go through that. Through the solution as well, we've got various different sections here for this card. So we've got the general information here, and you can see on the right hand side we've got show more. So again, it's that sort of reducing the look and feel, so it's not giving you the whole range of everything that you can see. It's trying to reduce things down to make things as simple as possible. So we can make show more, get more detail, or we can roll it up to show a bit less. And even the case in this way, you can see how on the invoicing side it's rolled all the way up just to give us the general information. So we can open that up, see a bit more detail about that area all the way through. You can see quite a lot of information, but let's keep that all the way rolled up, keep it nice and simple for the look and feel. Inventory, it can do the same. We've got, again, with the view, so you can have actual imagery potentially against the information or things that you're actually selling. In this case, it's say books on for specific areas here for this demo company, but you could have inventory there, and it's got all the sort of functionality that you would expect. So in this case, we've got these are potentially inventory or service or non-inventory items. We can have different attributes against them, the different costings, costing methods. So quite a lot of functionality there you expect. The pricing, and you can have different pricing and special pricing and discounts set for specific users or different thresholds of amounts. So quite a lot of powerful information there if you're using any inventory. Touch on the reporting side. Within the actual solution itself, it's got a feature called account schedules. And for me, it's very much similar to, for BGP users, Management Reporter. So you're able to build out what rows you want to display. So in this case, a set of different chart of accounts, how that's actually shown, whether it's bold or italic. And then we can also then go ahead and, let me find it, edit the column layout. So whether it's via department or we can do it via a balance or periods, we can then decide how the column is going to lay out when we actually print these reports. When we print reports out of the solution, we've got various different options. They can be print them to Word, we can print them to PDF, we can print them to Excel, or we can schedule them as I talked about earlier on. So just to go through to see the two different options, so we'll go through the Excel option and the PDF, just to give you a look and feel of what the out-of-the-box reporting can deliver. So I think the Word one's opening. Let's just give that one a second. So depending on how that report was built, the columns and the rows, it's going to export to Excel. It hasn't got drill down capability currently within this type of feature, but it's actually exporting all the information out with the header and the right values. On the PDF side, you just get a look and feel of how this looks. So the out-of-the-box ones gives you all the information that you'd expect, but they are quite static data. Now, when it comes to reporting the level which I think people are looking for these days, we're then starting to use Power BI. So I'm going to start to move away from Business Central and start to show you how all the different Office 365 tools work in tandem. So we've built a reporting pack using Power BI, looking back to that company. And you can see how the bottom here, we've got various different tabs. So we've got whether it's income statement by month. The top section, we've got the dimensions here, so we can decide to display things by a department. When we're choosing these different filters, you can see how the actual results underneath are dramatically changing, whether it's changing the posting information, and through here as well, very easy if it's been set up to drill down further to see the chart of account details or roll everything up just to get the high level information. So we've got a range here of a sort of board pack, what a lot of people are expecting. And the power of this solution is that you can embed very easily chart information. So any of these month by month, you can refresh the data, it's going to get the live data. You can then apply different filters if needs be, all the way through to when you look at the customer analysis report we've got here or supplier one, we can actually embed map information as well. So that's really useful, whether it's on the sales or the marketing side, potentially to understand where your sort of hotspots are. So let's have a look at just our suppliers, and it's going to filter all the way through, and the map will change accordingly to where those records are. And the great thing with Power BI is that if you've not seen it before, it is got, I think there's a question there about licensing. So is it licensed separately to Business Central? It's part of Office 365 licensing packs. But as a user, they don't necessarily need access to Business Central to be able to get this sort of data out. And for some organizations, they need to be able to get this data out or display this to even users or people within an organization who wouldn't have that licensing, or if it's a board member, let's say, you're not going to give them an account. So it's very easy to go, after you've done your changes, to actually, whether it's publish things to the web or it's export things to PowerPoints or PDF. So I just want to have a look at the PDF, not PDF, PowerPoint version. So it's very much, it's just taking a snapshot of all of those different tiles in your board pack, changing all the different filters and the posting information that's been applied. And you could then go ahead and walk into that boardroom, present this information or display or actually email it out to them, and they wouldn't need a license to be able to see this information. They wouldn't be able to change any of the filters or drill down, they'd need a license to be able to do that. Moving on to the other sort of great feature within Dynamics 365, so especially we're finding with the organizations on the purchasing side. When it comes to purchase orders, so just having a look at them, it's got the ability to have a light user, which has got a different licensing type called team member, and they could enter what's called a purchase quote, very much a requisition, and someone from Business Central could then convert that to a purchase order. And from here, the finance team very much easily enough for them to go ahead and actually receive an invoice from here onwards, but also send through requests for approval. So what the approval tool, what sits alongside it, is a Office 365 tool called Flow. So again, because it's using Flow, you can, an Office 365 tool, it's very powerful to actually enable different integrations. So Flow is not just approval, it's actually for moving data across. So we are utilizing it in some aspects for the interconnectivity of bespoke fields from CRM to Dynamics 365 Business Central for some of our projects. But just having a look at an overview of the flow, if you like, for a purchase document approval, we can see here how it's getting information from a specific company, from Business Central. We've got different conditions that we can actually approve, accept. We can then send it to various different approvers depending on those criteria, enter information about the document onto the email, including a link back to the transaction. And depending on what their response was, whether it's approved or not, it's then going to go back into Business Central and actually update that status as well, all the way through to sending an email to the requester of what actually the approver did and have they approved or not. Having a look at that in Outlook, you can see as an approver, this is a type of email that they'd receive, getting information about the invoice in this case, and then they can actually open the link, open this specific invoice from the link if they've got a Business Central license, or approve or reject from here and add comments. Just to stay on the Outlook side, there are great functionality from within Outlook, whether it's the Office 365 portal or your desktop application. We've got here an email from a vendor about info about an order or an outstanding invoices potentially, and we can actually get information from Business Central without leaving Outlook. So it will open up on the right-hand side of the of Outlook, and it's going to present essentially a mini version of Business Central, giving us key information. So in this case, we can see for this vendor, we've got a certain balance, maybe we've got some things outstanding and outstanding invoices. We can actually drill down to get a bit more information about them. And that could all help us decide what our next actions are before going ahead and dealing with this specific vendor. We've also got those tiles information. I think from my personal view, if you're using the portal like this, it's not as easy to view because you can't change the actual window sizes. But if you're using the actual desktop Outlook, it's a lot easier to change the actual window to see a bit more detail. But from here as well, we can actually go ahead and process documents. In this case, let's do a purchase order. It's going to suggest certain lines because of what we've done previously, so we can click yes, we can go ahead and enter those lines. We can change information about the header, information about the line, potentially of the quantity. So let's go ahead and enter, just go for one of these, values and that, so forth, all the way through to deciding to post and print. And it's actually going to send this information through. That's the one. So publish the information of the purchase order onto the email, and it's going to actually enter a template of the actual purchase order information with a message to that vendor about what we're looking to do. And out of the box, just opening this PDF version of the purchase order, you can see out of the box version of a purchase order. They are quite bland, but not too bad, and it gives us a good basis to start working on when developing your specific versions. Okay. So to finish off the demonstration, just want to highlight the whole roadmap really of Dynamics. So where Dynamics 365 Business Central fits in, and the whole of the different applications that included within the Dynamics ERP and finance and CRM side as well. So Dynamics GP, we've had various different versions coming out, and we have got ongoing development, so we'd expect a new version out this year. Business Central came out in April 2018, and it had various different previews and naming beforehand, different releases. But the 2018 main release, when it came out, that's all based off Dynamics NAV code. So the next version for NAV customers is actually to upgrade to Business Central. And as you can imagine, that's going to get a lot of weight, and we're seeing a lot of new features and a big roadmap of improvements over time. But because it's based off Dynamics NAV, it's very much a field-tested solution that's just been recoded for the cloud rather than a starting from scratch. Just to complete the picture, CRM and AX have been renamed and rebranded for the Dynamics 365 space. So they've been there for quite a few years now, with the sales side and the CRM side being a big focus for us and where we do a lot of work with clients. To summarize up what we're seeing, so Dynamics 365, it's a modern SaaS solution, so that's software as a service hosted in the cloud. It integrates, I hope you've seen, with Office 365 very easily. We've not just showed today how it integrates with Dynamics 365 CRM, the sales app, but that's a lot more unique out-of-the-box integration than we've had before. It's hosted by Microsoft in the cloud, and because it's in the cloud and it's a SaaS solution, it's always going to be on the most recent version because it auto updates within a certain time frame. Okay, thanks for your time, and I'll hand over to Jenny to finish up.
Thanks, Steve. So thank you to everyone who has asked a question. We will take those offline and contact you directly to answer those. Just to give you a few moments to look at our webinar and events program over the next few months, in particular our Dynamics GP customer events. That's like a business briefing in London on the 23rd of May. You can register for that and all of our other events and webinars on our website under the events page. So that concludes today's session. I'd like to thank you all for joining us. Please keep a lookout in your inboxes over the next few days, and we will send you a link to today's recording. Once the webinar has closed, a short survey will pop up, and we'd really appreciate it if you could take a few moments to complete this. Once again, thank you for joining us, and have a great day. Thanks very much.